Welcome back to Be Honest Radio right here on IntellectualRadio.com. I am your host, Jay Davis, aka the Nimble Sex Symbol. I'm joined by my lovely co-host with the most, sweet like French toast, the lovely Crystal Iris, aka,
The boss set extraordinaire. What's up, y'all?
and we are joined again by, you want me to call you Natasha or Tasha? What you want to go by?
Tasha.
Tasha Lee. Hi, thanks for coming back.
Thanks for having me. It was a really cool experience last week. I'm glad to be back to
Yeah.
continue talking about this topic. Just so much has changed between now and last week.
Already. Yes. So last week we had a great show with Miss Tasha Lee. She is the sister of Andrea Kelly, which is R. Kelly's ex-wife. The show was really good, and it was so good that we asked her to come back. And so here we are. We're gonna follow up on the R. Kelly docu-series, but we're not just gonna stop there. We're gonna continue to talk about some of the things that kept coming up last week. And then we're going to jump into a little bit of her personal story as well. So we're really excited about this show. And yes, again, thank you so much.
It's been super therapeutic for real. Like
Good.
just a weight lifted off of my shoulders and actually a lot of positive feedback.
I'm
not
glad.
really what I was expecting. I mean it's good, but nothing negative came my way.
Cool. So do you mind just reiterating who you are again? Just a little bit about your background,
Yeah, so
refresh people's memory.
I am Andrea Kelly's younger sister from my dad's second marriage, and we've got a 7-year age difference between us. And I was a teenager when she started this venture with Mr. Robert Kelly, and it's definitely been an adventure to say the least.
Mm-hmm. What you doing, Jay? How you feeling?
I'm great, man. I'm trying to get through all these deaf threats that I've been getting. But the deaf community, I'm not gonna say nothing positive or negative, but leave me alone because I'm with the you know what. So if you want smoke, I got smoke. But anyway,
So Jay is talking about what? What are you talking about, Jay?
I posted a sketch on Christmas Day, the deaf interpreter, and deaf people are furious at me.
Yes, they
Like
are.
I purposely want to attack their community. One person actually said, "Why don't you go out and get a real deaf girl to do it?" I'm like, my man, don't know any deaf people. I know that sounds bad, but I don't go around meeting deaf people. I don't even know where to find a deaf person at. I'm being totally honest. It might sound bad, but that's just what it is. If you know any deaf people, I would love to meet them and explain it. But the few people that hit me up and actually read the transcript, the actual or the caption of the sketch, they reply with LOL. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
So, I mean, whatever you're mad about, whether it's the person in no sign language or you think I'm threatening the deaf community, suck it up, man. The world's harder than that. Some of y'all ain't gonna get y'all tax money, and y'all might need a new interpreter. So good luck.
Stop.
Some of them probably aren't getting paychecks right now
Exactly.
already.
So you
Wah
should be
wah.
worried about a sketch on Facebook. But anyway,
Their feelings are valid,
they are valid.
but it is pure comedy.
Mhm.
So, deaf community, please stop bullying Jay
Look,
Davis.
and if you
Stop
want
bullying.
you want to get they want to get treated equally, you gotta equally take the jokes. That's the same. You can't say I want equal treatment, but you can't make fun of me. It don't work like that.
Now you're gonna have to apologize like Kevin Hart.
You know
Put out a
what? I told
PSA.
him that. I was like, I really hope, like, when you get big,
Yeah.
that this don't come back and bite you because I can totally see that they did it to Kevin Hart. Like,
Yeah.
when? How many years back?
They
10,
said they went back
15
over
years?
40,000 tweets or
Who
something
has
like
that
Right,
that.
kind
to
of
pull
time
up
to
a
do that?
tweet of that.
Same thing with my sister. That video, people are trying to say they don't want to associate. Like, oh, you rocking in the car, listening to his music. That video was from years ago, so someone had to go through her timeline. Someone
Right.
is maliciously trying to destroy your character when they do something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's pure comedy though. So yeah.
Mhm.
So let's catch up, shall we, on this on the news from the R. Kelly docuseries. So what's new in the news with R. Kelly? What do we know?
What is it?
That was you.
Okay.
I was like, what is that
What?
echo? I said, is there supposed to be a delay like that? Wait a minute. I'm still a newbie when it comes to this.
Right.
Like, tap the microphone. Is this thing on?
Did they raided his studio or the police went in the studio this time?
Yeah, they were escorted by like building and zoning department
Hmm.
because someone called 311 to say that they thought someone was living in there and it's a business, not a residence. So TMZ posted them going inside. They didn't say what they found, but apparently it's enough for them to have evidence to go back to court and fine him for whatever infractions.
Because somebody posted a guy putting stuff in the trunk. And it looked like it might have been studio equipment. I don't know what, but it's like, is somebody moving out of the studio? It was like so many questions about that one picture that they posted. So I thought that was strange.
Well, he owes like 166,000
How?
in back rent to
Yeah.
the and they were just now going to evict him at the end of the month. Wait, now how convenient the timing.
How much? Like, I guess money isn't the issue with that building because if somebody owed me $100,000, I'm getting my money.
Well, they said what I did read was that case about the back paid rent was something that was started even before the docuseries came out.
Oh.
So it was already.
Well, he
in
owes
motion.
a lot of people some money, so.
But it shouldn't like that. It shouldn't be that long. You can get somebody a court order after like a month or something like that if somebody don't pay your rent.
But he's
Yeah.
still in Trump Towers. They did a wellness check and found Azriel and Joycelyn
Yeah.
still there, and they said that they were okay and that they were
Not being held against their will.
and the police said that they looked like they were healthy, whatever that means, because you can tell mental health by just looking at someone
Mhm.
and assuming.
Well, they also said that R. Kelly, his birthday
Just
was
passed the
his
10th.
birthday just passed, and he had his birthday just passed, and what did they do?
They had a
They had a
party.
party
He had
at-
a
Yeah,
party.
they had a party.
V75, I think it's called. Was it out south?
I don't know where that is.
Yeah, it's out south. They had a party. He
They
went
had
to
a
several
party.
different establishments, and apparently the city wasn't too happy about that. So they found any violation that the establishments had and shut them down.
Yeah.
So that was
But they said that because of all the stress that he's had, he's been struggling with panic attacks and ended up in the hospital. So he had that party acting like everything was good, but he went back home and was like panic attack.
Well, didn't you hear there were women shouting, "Take me hostage"?
Yeah.
At the party.
Yes. Even after our show, we saw people saying things like, "Hey, if R. Kelly wanted me, he could take me." So yeah,
Blows my mind right now.
people, yeah, everybody is entitled to their opinions and their thoughts, and there's some people that still down
Just stay
with
over
R.
there with
Kelly.
your opinion.
I think people honestly should, how people get checked up at the doctor. They should do mental health checks for somebody to say, "Take me hostage."
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
They were chanting it.
Something
Really?
is wrong with
Wow.
somebody if someone says that.
Yeah, it all looks good and dandy until you're in the situation and then it's not what you thought
It's
it was.
all fun and games, so you got to pee in a bucket.
Or you get beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you don't get to eat for 3 days because you're being punished for something that you did.
Yeah. So, Tasha, last week you mentioned that your sister, Andrea Kelly, had a child support case. Do you have any update on that you're able to share?
As far as I know, he's not paying and he's not in jail. So he's not being held accountable for the money that he is legally responsible for taking care of those 3 kids. So my sister she's not surprised because it's been this way for many years where she's had to fight to get his child support.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
At this point, is she expecting it? Or she just knows it's not going to happen? Because I don't think he's going to.
Yeah, with as much money as he owes, I don't even think that, especially with all these other legal troubles he's got going on, that he's going to be able to pay it anytime soon. But somehow he's still in Trump Tower, so celebrity, their money situation is kind of weird sometimes that you don't understand. Well, how can you still afford this? How are you still doing this? Somehow he's still shaking and moving, and none of these creditors are having him thrown in jail.
Because broke to them, our broke is different
Right.
from some
They
of
call
their
that
broke.
what rich people
Yeah,
Hood
problems.
rich.
like
Yeah.
right, like MC Hammer is where he's living a decent life. He's not waterfall living
Right.
anymore, but
Mike
he's
Tyson.
right. They're okay. They're
Yeah.
not struggling. So there's a difference.
But see, for him, because he sold his masters, now he doesn't get those royalties like MC Hammer would get, his royalties. So I'm sure he's probably still getting some from collaborations that he's done. So I'm sure because that's not technically his catalog. So I'm sure he still has like some kind of from like, the streaming companies, even though they haven't put him on the playlist again. People are listening to his music now. We were talking about that increase, and they were saying that increase was actually due to people want to listen to the lyrics to
Yeah.
hear what they were actually saying, not necessarily that it was fandom that was
Right.
causing this increase.
Yeah, I could believe that for sure.
Titles.
Especially after listening to the docuseries, the women were saying like he would do something crazy to them or say something, and then all of a sudden it's a song, and they're like, those songs are real.
Yep.
And I think that definitely prompted people to go to YouTube or to whatever streaming site and say like, let me listen to what he said.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yeah, it happened. So
the song that he had with Sparkle, where at the end where he talks about the woman living in Chicago or whatever, that was written about my sister.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then he had also said that I Can't Sleep was about another woman, but he told my sister that was about her too. So
yeah, he got to cover up something.
Yeah, exactly. He can't sleep because all these women that he's trying to manage at one time.
Yeah, the other thing too, Jay talked about, they were saying on the docuseries last week was that he was hiding in plain sight, and they kept, reiterating that as well. So, yeah.
It's the same behavior like Bill Cosby. He went on stage and bragged about Spanish fly and putting stuff in drinks. That was part of his stand-up routine.
Yeah.
And he didn't have no problem with it. He joked about it. And sure enough, that's what happened.
Well, think about our own president is talking about he just grabs
He ain't my
women by the
president.
genitals, Yikes.
Hey,
This is
Danisha.
like, the most important position pretty much in the entire world. And you talking about you sexually violate women, but he's still running this country and not held accountable. So it's not it's sad, but it's not surprising. As women, that's why we don't come forward for what? So that way I can get humiliated and have my life dissected while he still keeps doing what he's doing.
And just not as women, black women.
Yeah.
So
Raquel Kane says Bill is innocent. R. Kelly is too.
What?
Raquel Kane. I don't know who she is, but she says Bill is innocent. R. Kelly is too.
Would you go out on a date with Bill Cosby for drinks while R. Kelly serenades you? Is that a fun night for you?
Yeah,
so
you're gonna wake
Bill
up
was
smelling like
innocent,
urine.
he'd be a free man, but I'm pretty sure Bill's behind bars. Yeah.
Bill's not innocent. Dr. Huxtable's innocent. Bill Cosby's guilty.
Right? Those pudding pops are innocent.
She says, I feel like he only did what they allowed.
Who?
I think she's talking about. Are you
talking about the children?
Are you talking about Bill or are you talking about R. Kelly? I feel like he only did what they allowed.
He only did so.
Who is they? Do you mean the children? Like he only did that the children allowed him to touch
She said, I'm
them?
just playing y'all.
Oh, okay.
Like, okay. Talking about mental health again.
No.
Lotus says, this is stupid because Bill said in the court disposition that he did do it. Yeah. He admitted it.
That's what kills me when people, like, you don't want to believe the person who said they did it. I'm like, he said he did it in 2002. So there's nothing else to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. So, there was a video. So Jada Pinkett, I'm going to switch it around a little bit on the agenda, but Jada Pinkett Smith had a video out for Red Table Talk, and she had a survivor on there and a survivor's daughter. I forget the survivor's name.
Lisa Van Allen.
Okay, Lisa Van Allen, and her daughter was there.
Yeah.
They also had the psychologist Candace Norcott on there, and it was a very interesting video. Very interesting. You saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to tell me about it. So, what are your thoughts on the video?
I like the fact that she was able to kind of, really isolate her story and really focus on her story. I mean, obviously all the other survivors were important, but just to kind of get more in depth into, her story personally and the parallels between, her and my sister, and just how they would make you feel. And no, I don't want to leave them, despite everything I'm going through. Like, I love him. I want to help him through this. And, how it affected her, and also just, and her daughter, just to see her mom and to see her cry on TV.
Yeah.
That was really upsetting.
Yeah. As soon as she got on there, they said, "So how did you see the video?" Because she said that she watched it with her mom.
Yeah.
The two of them watched it together. And the survivor, said that she didn't want her to watch the video within the conversation.
Yep.
So they had some teachable moments in that. And as soon as they asked, "Well, how did you feel watching the video?" And she just like burst out into tears. And she said, a lot of times people don't, it changed her perception about things. And that was something that stuck out to me. It changed her perception about how she interacts and how the relationship is between she and her mom, the survivor. And she didn't understand why she would yell at her or be so overprotective and things like that. So,
and it even changed her perspective as a young girl, how she approaches men and how she deals with men.
Yeah.
I know my experience, did, you have a guard up, you're kind of wary of everyone. What are your true intentions, And it's just sad for her to be that young and have to experience that and do that. And just to see still the pain that is very real to her, and to have your mom right there. And at least for me, I'm ride or die for my family. So if someone cries, I want to take their pain away right away. I don't want them to experience that anymore. So for her mom, still years later, to feel all that pain, that anguish, I know personally, it's, I'm still not sleeping well. It's in my subconscious a lot. It's all over the news too. So it's kind of hard to avoid, or hearing people talk about it, especially in the Black community. It's something that we're talking about, a lot now, maybe not for the right reasons, or maybe not the conversation that most of us would hope would go in a certain way. But this is just crazy.
Yeah, it was really deep. And I think it's so important to I started a nonprofit organization called Hey Girl back in 2010. And part of Hey Girl, one of the components that I really, really stressed was having the conversation and a strong relationship between mothers and daughters, because we can learn so much from them. And a lot of times I feel like mothers try to guard and protect their daughters, so they're not as open with sharing their personal experiences.
Yeah.
But I feel like when you do share your story, whether it's with your daughter or with other women, your nieces, sisters, you open up that conversation. You open up the lines of communication so that everything you understand why you're being protected. You know what to look out for. My mom had been in dating violence relationships, almost got her head blown off. My mother had gone through some other terrible experiences, being molested. And I didn't know that until I shared my story. That's when my mom told me, well, I had that experience too. But I think had she opened that line of communication with me earlier, I would have felt more comfortable with telling her, Mom, this is what happened.
Yeah.
Or I would know a little bit more of what to look out for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
To protect myself. So I think it's so important to have those conversations, and don't wait until they're 16.
Don't tell me just to do it. Tell me why you don't want me to do it. Kids are very intelligent, and you as a parent, if you talk about serious things such as sex, drugs, the police, this should be a conversation that you should be able to, have with your kids, in an open line of communication that, hey, no matter what it is, don't feel embarrassed. I don't care who it is, it's okay to talk to me. But, sometimes you don't even realize, I think, as a parent, that your kid may not even feel comfortable. And sometimes you just have to sit down and reiterate to them, like, hey, just so you know, if something's going on, I'm always here to talk, no matter what it is.
Yeah. I know that's true for women, but Jay, what do you think from the,
Yeah, it's just all estrogen over
his
here.
face just
Womp womp.
completely his face completely changed. Like, I really don't. I'm
He's
really
still
not
upset about his death threats and
Right,
stuff. That's what
right.
it is.
He's probably over there responding now, like
He's wishing he could talk to somebody
Listen
about his
up.
death threats. You know, that he had a family member that he could
his
open
face
up to.
completely
It is funny. As soon as you said that, Famo just chimed in. Famo, look on my page, man. This is your fault. This is your joke. And
Oh
people
my
are threatening me.
gosh. Okay, Jay. So it's true for women, that we need to have more open and honest communications between mothers and daughters. Do you think that line of communication also needs to be open for fathers and their sons?
I do, but I'm from the era where men don't talk about their feelings like that.
Do you
Right.
think
So
that's
I'm not
okay?
saying no, I'm not saying it's right, but that's traditionally like when I was brought up. It's like guys are supposed to be tough. You're supposed to be the providers. You're not supposed to let stuff bother you. Yes, I think more men need to talk to people, because so they won't lose their mind and do something stupid or harm women when they get older. But men hold their feelings in too much.
Yeah.
So how'd you guys feel about that Gillette commercial?
I didn't watch a commercial.
What did
The
the
commercial.
transgender community was mad about that or something?
No, so now they said that men are being hypersensitive. So it's basically a video or a commercial that's saying that, men, we need to be, more accountable and teach our young boys, the wrongs and rights and how to treat women. And so most women have received it very well. Like, all right, it's about time that we, especially Gillette, you think of, yeah, they do women's razors, but mostly men, you associate men with
Right.
Gillette. So for them to even take a stance unprompted like that, I thought it was,
And
pretty
they got
cool to
flack
see.
behind that.
Yeah, they did. From a lot of men saying, well, what are you trying to say? We don't know how to raise our sons. And what's wrong about just reiterating about being good to women? What's wrong with that? I don't understand. It's nothing wrong with rappers to degrade our women. For
Yeah.
even just, in our own community to get degraded by our men. We get degraded by everyone because,
Yeah.
we're black women. We're at the bottom of the totem pole.
Yep. Do you, Jay, is there anything that your father may have shared with you that you felt that you also had experienced, and had he told you, you would feel more open about having that conversation with him? Or do your daddy don't say nothing?
He don't say nothing. Like I literally, like everybody know, like my parents, they separated when I was 4,
Okay.
but got back together when I was 12. I didn't find out the reason they separated until I was like 30.
Okay.
And this is when I was like, it was probably before 30. It was before 30, like 20, 28. And it was when I was going through my divorce, and my dad opened up and told me, like, this is the reason why. It's my fault. I was messing the money up. I was
Yeah.
going out spending money where I shouldn't. I'm like, oh. And I'm like, well, I didn't do that.
Right.
So I had a different reason. But that was like one of the only times that he opened up and told me stuff. But it's like my dad is just like, he honestly, he's one of the strongest people I know, because the amount of like loss he suffered over like the last 10 years. And it's just like he just take it on his chin and keep going. Like, that's a strong dude. So it's like, I get it. He's never like that emotional guy. Like, I think at my last premiere 2 years ago, he's like, I'm proud of you. And he hugged me. And it was the most uncomfortable.
Weird,
I'm like,
yeah.
all right. But
You know what you're doing, right? Embracing you.
right.
On
Like people are
purpose.
watching. Are you good with this?
Right.
But
Men
yeah.
are watching. People are watching.
But he's from that school of men don't share their feelings. Like, wow, I love you. You eating, right?
Right.
That's how I love my
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
So that's the way he was raised. But I do think more fathers need to take the time to say, son, I love you. You need to treat women like this. Because you see your mother, see how happy she is? Because I treat her like this.
Yeah. I think if we had more education about that, not just girls needing education on the red flags and things like that, but boys also need the education on how to treat themselves, how to treat other girls, and things like that. Because a lot of times I think these sexual assault things that are happening younger, or when boys touching the girls and things like that, I don't. A lot of times I think it's out of innocence. I think they just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think they just don't know. They're not educated
Like
on
like Lenny from Mice and Men. kind of thing. Like kind of just like, what am I doing wrong? Like you here with me? I thought you liked me. Kind of thing.
Yeah, but he was like special
Yeah,
needs in the movie too.
he was
Was
messed
it
up.
autistic or something?
Yeah, it was
like
something
that?
wrong, but it's like in his mind, nothing was wrong. I'm just hugging her.
Yeah. Like when he killed, was it the rabbit, right? That he was petting the rabbit and he killed the rabbit, or was it a puppy? Something like that. That he stroked it too hard and broke its neck. And yeah.
Okay, Lotus says, I have sons and I have talked to my sons about molestation as well as signs to look out for. I have also shared that no one could ever hurt me if someone tries to hurt them. My mother says, I love the Gillette commercial. It seems that men are finally paying attention to women.
Yeah.
They better. They better.
Especially like, did you see how many women are in the House of Representatives now? What do you think it's going to be like in 2020? We're already waiting for some female Democrats to say that they're running. So here we go.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think that video was absolutely amazing, and it brought up a lot of different things.
And you know what I also liked about it from the psychiatrist, when she said that majority of people that are molested do not go on to do that, and when they get older, that majority of people do not. I mean, I know I went through, my own traumas, and I haven't gone and, beat anybody up or flipped out. And then people think because I'm a firearms instructor and I'm a female that I'm just going to wild out. Really?
Yeah. There are some, they do.
I'm not about to Lorena Bobbitt anybody. I need my FOID card, otherwise I lose my certifications. That's what keeps me calm.
Yeah. I wonder if R. Kelly had those lines of communications open with a male figure, when he was being molested or what have you.
I don't, because
would that have made a difference?
He told his brother, and his brother said, "No, it didn't. No, they didn't. That didn't happen to you."
No, the brother told R. Kelly.
Yeah, the brother told R. Kelly that
something had happened to him. But I'm saying,
Carrie went to him, but Robert was already dealing with his own traumas, so he couldn't process what Carrie was going through.
Right. So I'm saying, if R. Kelly had those lines of communication open with another male figure, a father or uncle or somebody that he could trust, would that turn out to be a different situation?
But in a man's situation, speaking from a male point of view, a lot of men will be embarrassed to talk about that.
Yeah.
Like, that's like somebody assaulted you. Like, does that make me homosexual? I ain't gay. I ain't telling nobody that. So that's the way guys, in their mind, they would process that, and they won't say anything because they think something might be wrong with them if they told somebody.
So is that a man thing or is that a cultural thing?
Probably both, half and half.
So how do you change the culture, though? Because we talk about, this is something we need to talk about, and I'm sure generations before us have done it. What do we do? Like, how do we start the change? How do we've recognized it's a problem.
I think we gonna fix it? I think we have to have more men willing to break the ice when it comes to sharing those traumas. I think we have to have more Black men that come to the table and say, hey, let's have this open and honest conversation. I think until we start seeing more images of Black men sharing and them not being gay, or getting soft or feeling soft or anything like that, I think when that happens, we'll be able to make and see some different types of changes, even in the way that we have a Black family.
And stop victim shaming, because that's another thing. Because a lot in all the cases you see, in the Bill Cosby case and the R. Kelly case, I kept seeing the same thing on Facebook. All they lying or they after something. I'm just
they
like,
want money or fame.
I'm like,
notoriety.
How do you know? Like, you are speaking from your opinion. How do you know that these women are doing that? Like, I wouldn't want to. I'm not going on TV. I'm not getting anything by going on TV and say that I got peed on.
Yeah.
I'm not getting anything out of that. So you know how much heart that would take for somebody to go on TV to say that, or to go on TV and say that I had a woman said I had sex in a threesome with a 14-year-old girl. What is she getting from that?
Yeah.
So I just think we got to stop victim shaming.
That's what I'm worried about. Even if we do have more black men speaking out, which we've had some celebrities basically criticize R. Kelly for what he's doing, and we still have people in denial. And we like there are facts. Like this is known that they actually looked into court documents from his divorce to Aaliyah and found out he was physically abusing Aaliyah. So I mean, like these are facts, these are court documents, like this is legal.
Yeah.
I was talking to Dante about it, and basically, some people don't want to admit that their heroes are a-holes.
Yeah.
You don't want to admit that the person you look up to, the person you dance to at your wedding, the show you used to watch on TV with the family every Monday or whatever, that your hero is a jerk, and you don't want to admit that because that means you was watching this man on TV knowing he was doing that.
Yeah. Lotus says, my children often talk about how to treat women and even the kinds of things they will do for their wives. My mother says, keep in mind that women have been suffering in silence for years. We were taught to shut up and shut down for a very long time. Silence has been our defense mechanism. And oftentimes when we do speak out, bad things happen. Lotus says, I am teaching them to have a wife and a family. Demetra says, Michelle Obama 2020. And I think that's Lotus calling in. If someone wants to call in, the phone number is 708-223-8953. Hi. Hello. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Well, I am calling from Chicago. I am Mama Lotus.
Hey, Mama Lotus.
Hey. First, I want to say thank you all for doing this show. It's very informative and educational for people who don't have the means to find out the information that you all share in a safe space without judgment and just very real. So thank you for sharing that with the community. It's very necessary.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I actually wanted to share something that you all said about with our boys, because I have two boys, and I have spoken to them about, how to treat women, as well as if someone tries to do something to them inappropriate. From a very early age, it started off with teaching my boys positive things about their own bodies, not giving their body parts nicknames, so that when if someone decides to touch them, you ask the kid, did someone touch this? And they're like, no, they touched my so-and-so, because you did not prepare them to know their body and have those conversations with them. Another thing, I'm always teaching my children about how to treat a woman by the way, one, they treat me, as well as being diplomatic when they go through situations with girls as they grow up. One is 16, the other one is 9. And so they have, sometimes you have girls that hit boys when they like them. And I teach them things like, do not hit them. Go and tell the authorities, the same thing that we would say to our daughters if someone is inappropriately touching them. I tell my sons, but I also teach them how to control their aggression and even anger, so that they're not reactionary and they start a cycle of where it's okay to hit and abuse. It's okay to do that, but also love and respect themselves enough to where if someone does that to you, that you tell someone that, you have people that are in your life that will listen to you. And one of the ways that I really, really brought that home was my 16-year-old, when he turned 13, I had a gathering for him. I didn't have a traditional birthday party. I had a gathering where I had 13 men in the community. They could be his friends. They were his friends. They were my family, granddad, his dad, and teachers from school surround him and all share a gift or a skill with him. And each man stood up, shared something about themselves, something that they loved about him, and what they were willing to do. And, and also remind him that he always had his brothers as his keepers. He had a village. And behind that, I had the women in the community, 13 different women, light a candle around him with that light. And the women weren't speaking. It was all about the men pouring into my son. And the men were so ready to do that for him. They were so willing. They were so enthused about setting the bar for young Black men, where we have to pour into them. We have to show them that they are special. If you teach them that, they love themselves, they don't go abuse other people. And if someone does try that, they know that they have someone that they can trust and tell.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And one of the elders that were there told me, "You done set the bar,"
Yeah.
because other cultures do that for when boys make certain age benchmarks. But what is it that we have to do within the Black community?
Mama Lotus, we gotta wrap it up, girl.
All right, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I love you guys. Bye.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
Mama Lotus is finna open up.
That's Mama Lotus, yeah.
A lot of men are taught. It's one thing that I know for a fact. Guys are taught it's not cool to cry.
Yeah.
That's like the oldest thing. Cool. You know how much stuff is pent in you? If you don't cry your head, that's why guys be snapping so much. Because they holding in 25 years worth of tears.
Yeah.
Right. And then something small and you blow up. And you think you're a maniac, but you just been holding that in. Guys are taught to shake it off. What's wrong with you? Shake it off. Y'all never heard shake it off before. Like, shake it off. You cool. Like, wait a minute, my leg hurt. I mean, that's just like men hear that stuff through their whole life growing up. And it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
I was when I first started, when I knew I could write, I was afraid to pursue writing because that's something the secretary would do. And that's what I was like, I'm not going to be no secretary. So it just...
Does that mean it's supposed to be a woman? Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm not saying that, but traditionally, when I was growing up, that's what women did.
Yeah. But that's a good point. Yeah. A lot of guys are missing out on even professional careers because of the idea that this is a woman's job, nursing.
Right.
And actually the medical field really need men, especially when you have to lift and all types of things like.
Or truck drivers are traditionally men. And so when you see a woman, you're like, what?
Do you really know how to drive? Yeah. So that's good. Dr. Candace Norcott, I really thought she was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. She talked about how it takes 7 times before a woman actually leaves. And last week you talked about Stockholm syndrome. So can you talk about that a little bit more?
That's basically where you sympathize and identify with your captor. So for Robert, basically the women, he would kind of draw parallels of the bad things that happened in their life, and he's already with women who've had traumatic experiences, so they're opening up to him, and we've got these, these like situations, and then he starts to do certain things like change your identity a little bit, maybe your clothing, or him calling them or them calling him daddy, things like that, slowly start to change them. And then when you do something bad and they're about to leave, then you shower them with gifts, or you
It's that cycle.
threaten that you're going to harm yourself or someone else to get them to sympathize with, oh no, I love him too much, I can't leave him like that.
Yeah.
Like I have to stay with him and make it better because I love him. And then you just get stuck in that situation. It's actually based on a robbery that happened, a bank robbery that happened in Stockholm, Sweden. And the hostages basically ended up siding with the bank robbers because they had spent, I think, like 6 days with them.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I actually was listening to a story about this on YouTube today, and after that, some of them still kept in contact with those bank robbers. Some of the hostages.
Did they go to jail? Oh, wow.
Yeah. They even after
but they grew
that,
a relationship with them.
Basically, that's what happens. They grew a relationship with them, and so they didn't want to turn them in. They actually became protective over the bank robbers because of the Stockholm syndrome that you start to identify with, your captors.
Yeah, you mentioned how people start to change their name and their identity and things like that. And Dr. Candace Norcott, she actually mentioned a term. She said identity distortion. So this is when, R. Kelly or any type of abuser might start to call you a different name. Mm-hmm. So now you're kind of dying to yourself. Your name is no longer Crystal. Your name is Mickey. Right. Your name is Mickey. So I'm gonna call you Mickey. And then he starts to groom them into that identity. Mm-hmm. So you completely lost yourself. And that's actually part of that whole isolation thing too. Yeah.
Look at Dominique. She didn't look anything like that. She cut her hair. She got tattoos. She looked very boyish. And they even said that he would make her like draw on a beard and things like that. Look like a boy.
So he wanted to sleep boy.
His boy toy.
Oh, wow.
There are rumors.
I told you about that book I read. In the book, it says that he was getting down.
Yeah.
With men. So, ain't my business.
As long as they were consenting adults.
Yeah.
So he doesn't seem to really get the consent part of it. That's just missing out of the whole. It's like the first part is the consent.
Right.
Do you agree? No. Okay. Well, we're still going to do it anyway. On camera.
Yeah.
With a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So can we talk a little bit about your personal story with domestic violence, and what was that? What's your story behind that?
So it's actually happened to me twice. The first time I was a teenager, and we had a relationship where we had known each other pretty much our entire life. And I ran up on him, asked him if he wanted to go to prom, and he said yeah. And then after that, pretty much that whole summer, we were inseparable. So I kind of noticed things at first. I thought it was kind of cute, but he didn't like me going out with my friends. He didn't like certain ways that I dressed. And I liked the attention because, he's noticing like, oh, you're just jealous, and didn't realize that jealousy was actually control.
Yeah.
And so I didn't go out, with my friends as much, but he was kicking it with his friends. And I had actually caught him cheating on me, and he put his hands on me. And
because he got caught.
Right.
Yeah, because he got caught cheating. And I think I was like 19 at the time. And something about me must have changed. So my father, he asked me, he goes, is he putting his hands on you? I said, no, Daddy, no. He said, Natasha, don't lie to me. Is he putting his hands on you? And I said, no, Daddy. And my dad was a high-ranking officer in the military. If I would have told my daddy yes, my daddy would have went and beat him down. My daddy is 67 and can bench press a lot of weight. Like, my male friends call my dad Big Cliff because my dad is like swole as hell. Prison swole, but never been to prison. And so my dad would have beat him down, and my dad would have ruined his naval career. And instead of worrying about I was more worried about my dad. So I was trying to save my dad from going into a bad situation. I was trying to protect my family.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be many, many, many years later that my parents would actually find out that, yes, I was in an abusive situation. It would be many years that they would find out that as a 15-year-old, as a virgin, I was sexually assaulted by a 20-year-old man. And it was a hard situation because it was my first time being in love, and I really didn't know how to handle it. And then as teenagers, we're not really taught about domestic violence as teenagers because it's coming to the light that it's happening more often than we thought it was.
Yes.
But you think that that's something that happens to you as an adult, not as a kid. So I didn't know how to process it, and then I was scared on top of it, and then I was thinking about my sister and wondering in the back of my mind, is she going through this? Because the last time that I tried to see her, she was crying locked in the bathroom, and I didn't get the opportunity to have a conversation. And it was in the back of my mind that something was wrong, possible abuse. So I'm just wondering, like, is this what my sister's going through? Possibly.
Yeah.
And so for me, what ended up doing it for me is I had a premonition that he got a woman pregnant. And I approached him about it, and I said, I know you got a woman pregnant. And he thought one of his boys told me. It turns out he did get someone pregnant. None of his boys told me. It was just a feeling like I knew. And turns out I was right. And I had to get to the point where I was just like, F it. Like, I don't care anymore. It wasn't kind of but maybe just a little bit longer, he'll change. I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I really don't care. Yeah, I'll be upset. Yeah, we've been together for a long time. We had a lot of memories. This is not worth it, girl. You are worth more than this. And it was just kind of an aha moment for me. It wasn't, I don't feel like I was kind of slowly getting there. It was just one day I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And I was done.
Nobody want to be a 19-year-old stepmama.
Yeah.
That's not a good look.
And I felt like I was basically, with him raising a man because I taught him how to drive. He didn't know.
You taught him how to drive?
I taught him how to drive.
I don't know him, though.
We'll talk about it offline.